Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a great day. It's almost the end of September, so coming into the end of fall. And tonight I'm going to be working on a gift, actually. Um, my husband's aunt is turning 80, and so I thought I would make her a piece of art. So I'm going to be using, so it seems how I don't draw, for the darn. And yeah, I mean, I can paint if there's a stamp or something like that. If there's an image there, like I can paint in color, things like that. That works just fine. But in terms of the artistry or people who can actually draw and do those kind of things, that's not me. But I thought a nice piece of creativity for her wall might be something she might really enjoy and let her know that, we're kind of thinking about her. So, this is what I'm going to be working on tonight. And this is a print that I took from my jelly plate. This is a 6-inch round jelly. I think I showed you guys something similar to this when I was doing the reverse image stamping. But one of these days, I'm going to pull these out and play with them and show you how to use them on the video. But that's not what this is today. So just wanted to show you though how I got to that point, and I did actually purchase that from Lavinia. I shouldn't say I purchased it; I got it as a part of a Christmas gift, but it was what I had asked for. So I created this by spraying onto the jelly plate using some distress um, ink sprays with a little bit of mica, so you can kind of see some of the gold metallic in there. Um, and it's on a piece of watercolor that was about this big. So I trimmed it down because I need it to fit within. So I got this frame from IKEA, and I wanted it. This is about 7 3/4 of an inch of an opening. So that's what I wanted it to fit in. And I didn't need all of the extra space, and I wanted to be able to have a visual. So I've actually just put some pencil marks here, and just so that I can kind of keep an eye on where my framework is going to be. So I'm just going to give those a light kind of, I want to scuff those off a little bit so that I can still see them. You guys probably won't be able to see them through the video, but I do want to still be able to see them light enough that I can kind of keep a frame of reference as to where I'm going with this. So I'm going to put that away because I'll need it later. Okay, so earlier today, what I did is I stamped out, kind of did a practice because I don't want to ruin my good background. I mean, I could usually just make it work kind of thing. But ideally, what I would like to do is try and actually have it be cohesive, etc. Okay. So yeah, so this is the main framework of what I'm going to do. And then I have some stamps around the edge. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is the 6 inches right here is what I had. And then yeah, some things around the side. So what I'm going to do here though is I'm going to cut this 6-inch circle out because I want to be able to use the curvature of it, because I basically took out the jelly press and I traced around this in order to get the right size. Oh, where's my lines here? So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to be able to mask off some of these areas so that I'm not getting ink in places I don't want it. So I'm going to just do this now. There we go. Okay, let's go. So as you can see, so I've got, yeah, I used a bigger gel press. Didn't know that I had a bigger gel press. Obviously I did. Well, that's okay because that will allow me to have some space. But you can see here, I can move my mask around here and still be able to not get ink in those areas. So that'll still work. This one, that's going to be a little more challenging, but that's okay. I will make it work. Okay, so the first part of what I want to do is I am going to take, and I'll be pulling in a bunch of different inks. And as I pull them in, I'm going to try and show them to the camera so that you can see what I'm using. I have a bunch of different stamps, things like that. But hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm using. Okay, so what I want to do is kind of have that as a mask. So just in case I end up going over, which would not be great. So because I've kind of got yellows, greens, and a blue in the background here, ideally what I would like to do is take a very light green, I think. Yeah, I'm going to pull out Elements Lime Punch. So this is a dye, oops, sorry, there we go. This is a dye-based ink. Did I bring out my dye-based ink brushes? I did bring out my dye-based ink brushes. Okay, so I've got a light green on my light green brush here. It's dark green. I might have to use the dark green. It'll take too long to find the light green. Yep, too long to find the light green. Okay, so I'm just gonna check and see what have I got on there. Okay, that's actually not very dark at all, so that's fine. So you can see I was using these this weekend and I was watercoloring. So what I want to do is I'm going to ink up onto my brush, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to rub it into the lid here. So any ink that is extra, instead of dabbing it off on the side, you can always dab it off on the side. But then I find then that I'm leaving a lot of ink behind, or I have to waste it and wipe it up, versus I use these as watercolor palettes. So I can just put a spritz of water in there and paint from there. But this allows the ink to move around on the brush, kind of get heated up and moving into the bristles. So just want to test it out there. So I'm going to hold my mask here and I'm going to hold my stencil. And I just want to gently, I just want a little bit of texture in the background. I don't want a lot. I don't want to cover up all of these bright, vibrant colors. So I'm moving my finger here over the slit where I cut for the mask. And I'm just going to give that a lift. Okay, I'll go a little bit more here in the green. So I'm just going to go back to my lid. Can't see this here. I'm just tapping it into the lid. And now I'm starting off onto the mask and dragging that in. I want a little bit more in this area where there is lots of green already. And over the yellow. I don't want to take it too far into the blue because I'm really loving I love the yellow as well, but I don't want to hide the blue too much. Okay, so that is enough with the stencil for now. So I'm going to put that brush to the side. I'm going to pull out a baby wipe. And I'm going to give this a wipe here. Actually, I'm going to move all of this off to the side so I'm not getting it contaminated with more color. Now, if you wanted, you could actually give this a nice spritz and press it down onto another card, another piece of paper or something like that. You'd actually get an impression from that, which would be lovely, but I'm not looking for that. Okay, so now if I pull that away, you can just sort of see here some of the outlines of the stencil. So just basically what I'm doing is I'm just adding some texture right now. That's all I'm trying to do is add texture, okay? Differing layers, because that's what makes our pieces of art, our creations, look interesting, right? Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to bring my main focus, which is Sarin. So this is Sarin. She's a beautiful stamp from Lavinia. And I've got all my stamps set over here. Now for this one, because I want a really crisp image, I am actually going to put this into my stamping platform because I want to be able to, I may need to, I don't know for sure that I'm going to need to, but I may need to restamp her a couple of times. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So am I going to be able to close that with that like that? Yes, I will. Hot diggity. Okay. Wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do that. Okay. All right. So one of the things that Jo Rice does really excellent is she talks about utilizing the acetate from your stamps. Don't throw these away. Keep these, because instead of taking my stamp, which may have residue on it and things like that, instead of taking that out, I'm just going to move this. I'm going to tilt you guys a little bit because I tend to stay out of frame. There, that's good. Okay, and you can take the acetate and move it around your project to see, where do I want to put this, right? Try it out in different areas. So I kind of like her right there. And I am going to have her coming off of the Yeah, I am going to have her coming off of the just outside of the circle a little bit. Okay. So I like how that looks there. So what I want to do is I'm going to move the acetate and I want to make sure that her feet are touching kind of the outside of the circle here. That's that. I'm going to close it, pick up my stamp, use my little air hockey puck, and I'm going to stamp her in VersaFine Nocturne, VersaFine Clair Nocturne, which is a pigment ink, which means this is going to stay saturated. It's going to stay wet because pigment inks sit on top of the cardstock. They don't sink into the cardstock. So I want to make sure that I've got this really well positioned here in the corner. I don't mind if I have to reground her and stuff like that, but I want to make sure that I've got a darn good grip on this thing because I might have to restamp her a couple of times. So I did re-ink my ink pad yesterday. So it's pretty darn good and juicy, which is important when you're using a silhouette stamp. So I'm not sure if you guys can catch that in the light there. Oh yeah, see? So you can always check and see how much ink did I get on my stamp there, but you can see how shiny it is. So it looks like I'm pretty good. Do this so that this part stays. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to push that down, and all I'm going to do, I don't want to compress, okay? When you compress or do like a really heavy chest compression, what can end up happening is you end up blowing out the lines because you actually end up squishing the silicone of your stamp, which not great. So all I'm doing is just providing a little bit of friction in order to have the ink that's on my stamp transfer to the paper because it doesn't absorb into the paper like a dye-based ink. So when you put your stamp with dye-based ink onto paper, the paper will draw the ink into it. When you're playing around with a pigment ink, it doesn't do that. It just sits on top of the paper. So you have to have a little bit of friction. Okay, so that first impression is actually pretty good, but I want to do it again because I do have a few areas here. Now that is just based on, because I'm using a silicone stamp, not a, what's it called? Red rubber or, oh, it's escaping me at the moment. Photopolymer, that's the word. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell that at you. Photopolymer stamp. This one that I'm using is a silicone. So it just doesn't always get the best coverage all the time. And that's okay. I don't need it to because I can work with it. There's many other layers that I'm going to be putting on here. So that's fine. So now I'm just taking my fingers and kind of walking them in the area. Again, I'm not pushing hard, but just walking it in the area of where that is. Much better. You can see how nice and crisp and clean that is there. Okay, so I'm just going to give my stamp a little bit of a clean off here. Using my baby wipes. And I'm going to pick her up and put her back on the acetate so that I don't lose it because, you know, stamps go missing or they go on a walkabout. Okay, now the rest of my stamps, I think I should be okay because most of the rest of them are like foliage, things like that. So I'm not usually too worried or concerned about those ones because you can always draw those, in. I mean, I could have colored her in as well if I really wanted this to be darker, but look at how nice of a crisp image that is. Like she's pretty solid. So I'm happy with that. Now, what I had done on here, so again, she's still wet. So I want to make sure, I'm actually going to give that a bit of a, I'm just going to put onto a piece of paper down here. Give it a bit of a blot. Make sure I'm not going to smudge her because that would suck. So you can even see here, look at it, did actually pick up a little bit. Oh, actually, maybe you can't see that. But there is just there it is. See that little black smudge there? Right. Go the other way there. There. That's actually from my stamp. That's actually a little bit of black ink from the stamp. So, so you always want to, before you carry on, ooh, what happened to my clean sheet paper? What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Before you carry on and start doing more stamping, you want to make sure that you've cleaned off or yeah, that you've cleaned off your stamp, etc. Okay. Now, the next ones that I want to put in are the Tree of Hope, and I believe it's the Tree of Courage. And they are these really cool trees that kind of, they were done in the same release as Sarin, but they have these really beautiful arching, they look like arching willows kind of thing. So we have one. Okay, so this one is the right-hand side, like that. So if I put my acetate, that's where that one would go. And this one is the left-hand side, like this. And ideally, what I would like to have happen here is I want this part, I want it to come up like this so that it's kind of following the edge of my circle, right? So that it kind of goes like that. But obviously, I don't want the tree growing out of her back. So you can see where all the roots are and everything like that here. So I'm going to need to mask her off here just a little bit. So I am going to take some, this is, what is this? This is mint tape. Yeah, actually, this is the one that I'm going to use. And I'm going to put that right here, like that. And I think I need to get a little bit, let's see here. And I'm going to do that. Yeah, if I do that, just like that, then I'm avoiding her, I don't know if those are antenna or just a part of her wings or what that is. But I like how this trunk, you can see how it just kind of follows that line there. I like that. But it's showing me here that I do have another area where this part of the trunk comes out. Or I could actually just make sure that I don't need to ink that part up. Okay, now, because this one is right at the same level as her, okay, here. Now, for these things as well, I don't want, you notice that I'm not going to be stamping directly onto my glass mat. I want to have something that has a little bit of give, something that will give the stamp a little bit of something to bite into. So what I like to use is, I'll often use just some bunches of paper. I also have this thing, which is like an extra thick mouse pad. Works like a charm. You know, if you are someone who has challenges with your stamping, I highly recommend either, well, first of all, a stamping platform is the best idea. But if you don't have the money to invest in a stamping platform, because they're not inexpensive, I'm not gonna lie, they're not inexpensive. A dream to work with, but not inexpensive. And all you have is glass blocks or the acrylic blocks. Then get yourself a mouse pad, like for like a $2-3 mouse pad. Stamp onto that, and it gives your stamp something to bite into on the bottom side of your cardstock. If you don't have that, use some loose leaf. These are actually papers that come out of a 12 by 12 scrapbooking album. I used to just throw these away, but now I use them when I'm working with Lavinia stamps because I just love how big they are, and it allows me to have color on the outside. I can stamp beside myself here to do like a second generation, all those kind of things. So now what I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I can ink up all of this. I'm just going to leave this foot part. I don't know if you can see that foot part. I'm not going to ink that up, but I'm going to have it go all the way around. And again, I'm going to use a VersaFine Clair, one of the browns that I have, because I have many. Browns did I bring over here? I think I brought Acorn and Pinecone. So the one that I'm going to put here, I'm going to have in a darker brown because I'm going to do two over here, but one of them is going to be further away. So I'll use that in a lighter brown. That way then I don't have to do a second generation. I can just use a first generation stamp, but use a lighter color, and it'll make it look like it's further away. Okay, so this one that I'm using is actually called Pinecone. So that's the color that I'm using is Pinecone. And I'm just going to ink up, making sure that I'm getting all of the detail. And I want to move my stamp around, move my ink pad around on the stamp. So because we tend to get quite habitual on how we like to hold our stamp pads, like our ink pads. And so the part that hits the stamp tends to be the same area all the time. So that part can lose a lot of ink. So you want to kind of make sure that you're moving your ink pad around. Oh, I just hit myself with ink. Hey, my luck, I'll get that only. Cleaning as we're going so that we don't make any moves. Okay. So you want to, like I said, move it around so that you're ensuring that the places that you have the ink are actually hitting your ink pad or your stamp. Okay. So I'm not gonna lie, guys, this may be a longer video. If you I'm happy that you're here and it's nice to have you here, but if at any time you need to pop out or pause, it is gonna be a longer video. So okay. Okay. So now, like I said, I'm not going to do chest compressions. I'm just going to hold this here and allow for the ink to transfer from my stamp onto my cardstock or my watercolor cardstock here. Just continuing to move my fingers along, just like that. And we're going to lift it up. And I missed a few areas, but that's okay because I can take some color it in. That's not a problem. Alrighty, so that was ink. Oh, nope, that's this one. Ooh, between the two, I always forget which one is which. But line them up back onto the acetate so that I don't lose them, which is good. You don't want to lose them. Put that over there. Now, next one is going to be, this is the tree of courage, I believe. So one is the tree of hope, one is the tree of courage. Okay. Now, what I want to do with these guys, so you can see here that this one curls in. Okay. And I want to have one, I don't want to go too far outside. But what I would, oh, sorry, this is actually an extra branch that comes with this one. The other one comes with some really cool leaves that kind of hang down. So what I want to do is have this one here, and then I'm going to do a darker one right around here. Okay. So that's going to be my plan, but I want to do this one and then I'm going to do a hill. So it gives the illusion of having some depth to it. So this one is the one that I'm going to do in the lighter brown. Okay. So this one is going to be an acorn. Sorry, that might be a little loud for you guys. So and again, when you want to think about forced perspective, because basically we're making something that is 2D, right? It's two-dimensional because it's flat. But we want to give it as many visual aids or visual tricks to make it 3D as possible. That's what helps create depth, dimension. It makes our pieces that we're working on look dynamic and makes them look like they're coming alive, right? So as much as we can, that's what we want to attempt to do. Okay, so I kind of like a little bit of space up there. Right there. And again, we're just going to let that absorb in, give it a moment. Just walking it along. Okay. And much better impression on that one. So you can see compared to the color, right? So even through the camera, you can kind of see that this one has a much darker color. So it looks like it's much closer. It's in the foreground. This one is a lighter color, so it looks like it's further back. So that's how we utilize our colors or first and second generations of stamping to trick our eyes into thinking there's depth and dimension there. So again, I think I told you, but that one is acorn. That was the one that I did for the lighter tree. Now for the tree that I want to do up front here, so let's get this in here. So I think what I would like to do is have it go right about there. Yeah, right there. Cool. Okay. Well, what happens if we bring it in? No, that leaves too much area on the outside there. Okay. So this is where we're going to go with that. So, and you can't see me stamping here, but I am, again, moving it around, making sure that I'm utilizing and trying to hit it, hit my stamp, hit my ink pad in different areas. Okay, so I think what I said was right around here. There we go. Okay. Just walk that up and down here a little bit. Nice. Okay, I'm happy with that. All right. Alrighty, so let's pull that off and put it back on the acetate and put it to the side. Okay, so let's pull up the mask here. Okay, so you can see how it looks like it's coming down to just behind her here, like she's sitting in front of the tree. That's kind of what I was going for. Anyways, so that's hopefully that's kind of what it looks like. Just gonna put that mask to the side there because I think we might need it a little bit later. Okay, so we've got the framework now for the scene that I'm looking to create. But what I want to do now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to add in a moon, okay, or a, might not be a moon. I want to add in a light source. So I'm going to start grounding and adding in light sources. So that's the next thing that I'm going to do. All right. So I have a variety of acetate circles that I have cut. I do have the Lavinia Stamps moon masks, and I have them and there's nothing wrong with them. They're perfectly great. Sometimes though, you want one that's much bigger, right? I think that one is actually too big. I think this one is 3 inches square. I think, are these the same size? Nope, that one's a little bit bigger. Okay. Now that's kind of nice, I think, because by hitting it here, if I were to do it here, I could actually frame her face plus the light, which I kind of like. So I think that's what I want to do there. But in order to not get any of the ink on my card around it, I'm going to mask right there, okay? Because I'm going to draw some color out. So for the color that I want to use for the moon, I think I want to make it blue, I think. Purple, blue. Okay, so this is going to be blue atoll, which is the elements. So this is a dye-based ink. I need to find my blue brush, yellow, dark blue. Nope. This is very definitely a light blue, purple. Sorry guys, I really wasn't sure what colors I was going to use, so I didn't pull out all of my brushes because I have too many to pull out sometimes. Oh, light blue right there on the top. Ah. Okay. All right, so light blue. So we're just going to test it here. It does have a little bit of color left in it, but not too much. So as with everything, you want to think about how much color am I adding? So you want to start off light and then move darker because it's always easier to add more color than it is to take away color. So again, I've now inked up off of my pad. I've drawn some ink into my brush. Now I'm just going to kind of maneuver it around the lid and kind of move it into the bristles of the brush. Okay. Now let's see, where are we cutting that? Right there. Now, when you're looking at a sun or a moon, you typically want to have, because it's brighter, because it's going to shine through the whole sky, right? So you want to start at the bottom area, and that's the area where you want to have the deepest amount of color. So the darkest would be kind of at the bottom-ish area. So I have to remember, I've got this on a bit of an angle because she's on a bit of an angle here. So I'm starting on the mask, and what I'm doing is just bringing in the color and flicking it outwards. So starting on the mask, and I'm keeping my finger. It's kind of going to block this a little bit, but that's okay. You'll just You guys are young yet. You'll get over it. And I'm just going to bring the color around. Let me do this here. Hold on. That's good. And I'm going to bring this color around, just like that. Now, you don't have to move, but you can see. So I've got a slight outline there. Now I want a little bit more. That's not quite enough color. So I'm going to dab into my ink pad here. I can move my fingers here if I need to because it's my acetate's not going anywhere. Okay, and I'm drawing in some color, working it into the brush. Check. Okay. So holding down again. And again, I'm going to kind of flick, starting on the mask so that the most amount of color and ink is actually going onto the mask first and then drawing down. So the mask will take some of that color, which is nice. Okay, and I'm going to try and get my fingers around here. Okay, now we can check that out again. Okay, what do you guys think? Do we need a little bit more? Yeah, I think we could do a little bit more. Let's do one more. Blue Atoll is quite a light color, so a little bit more saturation on the brush. So kind of dab it and buff it in. And again, starting on, let's match it up here. There we go. This is the nice thing about having the clear acetate, which is very nice. We're going to just start again, and we're going to start on the mask and flick out around our mask, around the circle. Move that move just a bit. There we go. Put that on there. There we go. Okay, so I think that's going to be enough. Yeah, you can definitely see how it's drawing our eye in that way. And you can see there is actually quite a bit of blue on that mask. So I could, if I wanted, pick that up and kind of blend around and things like that. But I think I'm pretty happy with where that's at there. So just going to give that a quick wipe so that I don't end up smudging it. Okay. And I'm going to put that to the side. And because these are, oh, I didn't put an X on that one, but I do have some clear ones in here where I took a Sharpie and put an X on them because there's nothing worse than trying to find a mask that's see-through when it's on your desk because, you know, they disappear like that. So, all right. So that's the first one. That's the first mask that we're doing. Oops, too close together. Very strong magnets, those are. All right, here's where we're at so far. Looking pretty good. Pretty good indeed, right? Okay, so before we continue on, I want to add a little bit of color to my trees because that'll give them time to dry, and then I can add other things as well. So in order to do that, I am going to take henna and some truffle. So I'm going to start with, so I've got two colors here. So these are both dye-based inks, which means they are water soluble. So I can make them watercolors if I want, which is what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to paint some color into the trees. So how I like to do that is I take them and I just give them a tiny little squeeze so that the top of the ink pad comes into contact with the ink. So you can see how it's touched there, and then it added a little bit of water into there. So I'm going to move this over like that. And I'm going to do the same with the henna. So the first one is the brown is truffle, and then this is henna, which is kind of a burgundy-ish, reddish color. And I'm going to take a very small paintbrush. So it's a very fine paintbrush. And I'm going to do the cheater's way because I don't, yeah, well, just because I don't, I mean, that's what's going to happen. So first of all, I want to make sure that I don't have anything in the brush because I noticed that it's a little red. And it wouldn't surprise me that I didn't do. Nope, I did do a good job cleaning it. That never happens. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a tiny squirt of water and I'm just going to add it into the lid. And now I have a watercolor palette. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is just take this and I'm going to swirl in. So you notice that I didn't swirl it right into the center because I want to be able to control how much water and how much color I'm adding, right? So this is where all of my concentrated color is. This is where I added my water. So I'm going to start by pulling some of this color into here, just like that. Okay. And I'm going to test it out. Yeah, I like that color. Very nice. So let's come over here. And I'm just going to kind of bring some color in like this. Oops, kind of mixing it a little. I want it to be a little red. I'm going to follow it in with some brown. But basically all I'm doing is pulling in some colors here, because there is some fine details here. We're going to add more detail as well, but I want that shading to start creating, again, we're creating multiple layers. So I want a little bit of a base on here. Okay. So when I'm bringing in kind of this henna color, this henna color, it is called henna, so it isn't kind of, it is a henna. But I'm bringing in this color because I'm intending for this to be kind of a fall-ish. So the leaves that I'm going to add are going to be like reds and oranges, things like that. So I want to, not have it just be totally brown. So does anybody have, while I'm focused and painting in here, I could talk to you guys, I suppose. Sorry, somebody yell at me in the comments there saying, hey, don't forget about us. Anyway, yeah, what is your favorite Lavinia stamp? Are you new to Lavinia stamps and the world of fairies, etc.? Or have you been, like, do you follow them quite a bit? Are you, I don't know about other people, but for me, I've been in love with Lavinia stamps for many, many, many years, probably a good 10, at least 10, 12, since I got back from Bali for sure. But I always found them very, very intimidating. Like I thought, oh, there's no possible way I could create those beautiful works of art. Like some of the artists, and like when you watch the Lavinia challenge, like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I want to be able to do that. And I didn't think that I could. Then I started watching some videos and learning and training, and yeah, it's really quite. Well, I'm not going to say it's easy because there is some work involved in it and things like that. But uh, I was able to figure out what it was that I needed to be doing in order to do this, which is also why I'm kind of teaching it and things like that. That's why I like to do the videos on it, and I love to have a play. And some people just really love it, and some people don't. So when you're watercoloring or any kind of painting like that, you want to make sure that you are drying your work in between layers, because otherwise it's just going to kind of mush together. So you won't get any of those deepening tones or anything like that, right? So I'm gonna have to do this from the back as well. A little bit of a dry. Not bad. Okay. Okay. I just have that in my mouth there for a bit. Okay, so now I want to come in and I'm just going to bring in the brown, and I just want to deepen some of those tones. I don't need to deepen them all, just some of them, again, because there's going to be shadows and highlights, which we will be adding as well, but I want to make sure that I'm adding different texture. And I did want some color added into this, right? So, because you can see through the branches. That just doesn't work, does it now? Okay, so seeing as how I didn't get the best stamping on this, what I want to do is I want to highlight these areas where it kind of clipped down. I want to make those brown, and then kind of keep the red, the area that it missed, so that it looks like that was intentional. So it looks like this really funky kind of tree-ish kind of thing. So you can see here where one of the branches didn't stamp down because I got a little cocky. But that does not mean that we throw it away. No, it just means it's an opportunity. You never know what it's going to look like. You gotta give it the time to flesh out and have its time in the sun kind of thing. See what you can do with it. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that, but I do need to add. So I'm gonna take this, dip it in here. So I'm okay with those browns. Oh, I need a little bit more brown up in here. A few of those details like that. I love using these trees, like these particular stamps, for winter scenes, but Anne's aunt is not a big fan of winter. So I was like, I suppose it's a gift for her. I should do something that I think she'd like. So I think she'd really like fall. Wipe that off, and I think I need over here, and I want to draw in this. Oops, a bit more water. So I'm bring in some more color here because I made it a little too light. Because you see here where it didn't pick up where the branch was. So I want to make sure that I'm adding in some color there so it looks like there was something there, right? There you go. And then we have a few anemic spots here as well. Oh, much better considering I didn't stamp it too great, hey? Not bad. So you can start to see we've got a couple of different layers now. So that's looking pretty excellent. I'm very happy with that. Now I'm going to cheat. This is the cheater's way when you don't have a cup of water beside you of cleaning your brush. I don't recommend this for everybody unless you're lazy like myself. But if you've watched my crafting organizing videos, you'll know I refer to myself often as a lazy crafter. Okay, so there is a little bit of water still in here. So I take my baby wipe and just kind of give it a little bit of a dab so that I'm not adding too much water, like leftover water or anything to my ink pad when I go to put the lid back on. There's only a little bit left here in the brown. I don't want to take up all of the ink because then again, I wouldn't be able to use it as a palette, right, for painting. So, okay, so here's where we're at so far. Now I'm going to let those trees dry because I've got a little bit of time, so I don't need them to be dry right away. What I'm going to do now is start grounding everything. So to ground everything, what does that mean? That means, currently it looks like these trees are just hanging out in the air. Looks like she's just standing on nothing. So what we want to do is we want to add a base so that they're actually on something, right? Okay. So for that, if you don't have these, what you can do, these are the Lavinia acetate hill masks. So they're ground, basically. If you don't have these, what you can do is tear a piece of paper and you'll get these wonderful jagged lines and things like that. And that works really, really wonderfully. Okay, so now I'm going to need to choose a color to ground them in. And the colors that I think I want to use, that's a bit dark one, so I don't use that one. Let's do like a green grass would be quite nice. Oh, no, okay, maybe it's going to be the green oasis and possibly shady lane. Let's see, so green grass, I think it's going to be too light. So we're just going to put that to the side here. Shady lane and green oasis. So that means I need my green brush again, which is this one. These are, nope, this is the wrong one because these are for my dye-based inks. So I need my pigment-based ink brushes. So you can use, I also like to use sponges at this point as well, like makeup sponges, you can use those too. That would work. So I have a darker one and a lighter one for my inks. So I'm going to start with the lighter one, see how I feel about that. Sorry guys, you can hear my chair creaking. All right. Kind of makes me laugh. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to take one of these masks and actually, because I also don't want to over mask and get too carried away, because let's be honest, you get inking up and you're like, woohoo, you get a little carried away. So what I need to do is I want to take this right to the edge here. And I need to find something that is going to work with where this tree is. So I wanted to find like coming in from the edge here and kind of coming along this way. So we'll see what it ends up looking like. And yeah, I want it to go upside down. So upside down like this will give it the feel. So you can see here. So this is where the edges are. Okay. So when you hold it like this and you ink downwards like this, that gives you a nice hard edge. When you hold it like this and ink this way, you get the hard edge here and it goes softer up this way. So it makes it look like snow. That's how I usually like to use it. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit of ink onto my brush here. And again, so I'm going to give it a tap. Okay, check it out, make sure it's the right color. So, and I'm not too afraid to come up and over the base of it, but I do want to make sure that it is coming to the base of it. And I want to also hold, yeah, maybe I'll do this. Okay, so I want to make sure that my mask, I'm not going too far over this way. Right to the edge there. Good. Let's do that. Okay. So again, I'm going to start on the mask and drag off like this. Nope, pretty light. I have to go with the darker green. Might even have to do a red. Ooh, I'm just having a brain. Let's do warm breeze there instead. Save the dark green for the bottom, but let's do. Oh, this is gonna be so pretty. We're gonna use this color instead. So I need a different brush for that. My light blue. Nope, that's this one here. This one here. So I'm just gonna give this a bit of a. What did I do with my baby light? Nope, that's not it. Oh, I must have finished that one. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to give this a bit of a wipe because I did get some ink on it, see? And I'm just going to move that over. So I'm going to do this with the blue. So this will tie in because we have this really pretty turquoise color up here already. So I'm just going to ink up. Okay, put that to the side there. Dab off. Okay. And we're going to start on the mask, pulling down. Just like that. Okay, so we can see now we've got a bit of a hill there. Now I also want to come in here and I'm going to angle the mask so that I'm catching right underneath where my tree is, so that I'm getting much closer to the base. Here, like this here. In fact, I might want to add almost like a navy color. Let's have a look. Ooh, yeah. What I want to do, right along the base there, I want that to be much darker. So I need the navy in the navy. Sorry guys, I got now I'm gonna have in the navy in my head. Okay, and so the navy color that I'm going to use is Twilight. And we're not, I don't want a lot because it's a very deep color. So let's check and see. Yeah, okay. So now I just want just a little bit right there. Darken that knob of the hill kind of thing. Just like that. Okay, so let's put my lid on there and I'm going to do this so I don't stick my finger in it and then I'll show you what I've done so far. Okay, remove this mask and I'm going to wipe it down because otherwise I'll forget. That to the side there. Okay, now you can see we've got some grounding. So we've got the tree ground right here and I'll be adding another layer to that, so not to worry. Okay, now what I want to do though is I want to come over here and I want to get along the bottom of here. And this one I want to do in Shady Lane. So that's my darker green. And I'm going to use a different mask. So this one has a more smooth side to it. So it does make it somewhat easier to find an angle to work with. think I'm actually going to have to angle this out just a little bit outside of here. Oh, yeah. What's that? Okay, so I'm going to keep this here. And I'm going to do this like that. And oh, I'm going to move that. Like that. And I'm going to put this in place. And we're doing the dark green. So I need the dark green brush. Off. Okay. And we're just going to put on here and we're going to drag. Starting on the mask. The mask moved. Okay. Third. Okay, so let's check that out now. Oh, yes. So we've got a little bit of a hill here. So I'm going to continue that under her. So you can see where her toes are there. So we want to make sure. So again, before I go and contaminate this, I'm going to give this a bit of a wipe. So we're going to wipe it off and then I'm going to dry it with my microfiber cloth just to make sure that there's no wet ink on there. Okay, and we're going to turn this around because now what I want to do is I want to catch her feet, but I also want to catch the bottom of the staff here. Okay, kind of like that. And then get this in there. It's a bit of a bummer, pain in the butt to be working with the mask, but that's okay. It's going to be worth it in the end. So now what I'm doing is I'm just catching the angle here so that I can make sure that I'm getting where I want there. And I want to move this over there. I'm not sure we'll put together. Yeah. Okay. More green. All right. And starting on the mask again and pulling down, pulling down, pulling down, pulling down. Okay, and the last thing that I want to do here is I'm going to take, there's just a tiny little bit of navy left on here, and I'm just going to take it right on the edge and kind of almost catch just the edge of this, just to darken up the area right along where this mask is. Just to add that extra little bit of oomph there. Okay. Have a look and see what we got. Okay. Oh, yes, very nice. I'm happy with that. Drying this off. Okay. And then that. Okay. So let's have a look. Okay. So do you see how it looks like they're now part of the ground or the earth? That's really what we're looking for. Okay. So we want to make sure that they've got a platform kind of to stand on, right? That's kind of important. Yeah. All right. So what else did I have on this guy here? So, let me see here. Okay. So I think what I want to do, like I said, I wanted to have kind of like some fall tones. So I'm going to bring in some Chianti, which is a really pretty kind of burgundy color. I don't even know if I have a thing for that or not. Let's see if I have a brush for that. I'll just make kind of my brownish color brush here. Okay, so this is Chianti, and it's kind of like a really deep maroonish color because I do want to add in a little bit more, well, depth is kind of the word, but I also want to have some differing shades in here. So I want to match this up a little bit if I can, kind of do like that. And I'm not going to go all the way across, so I think I should be okay. I don't think I need to mask, but I do want to hold this here. just because the green on green on green, you're not necessarily seeing it, right? There you go. Yeah, it's going to be kind of this pretty reddish purple color. Again, I'm going to start here, just kind of drag it down. When you go into the forest, it has multiple layers, right? Look at that. That is just gorgeous. So I want to do another one back here, just so that it looks like we still have more hills in the background, right? Obviously not into my moon, because that's not how it works. Oh, there we go, one there. And I think we need to have one maybe right there. So I'm not re-inking because I don't need a lot. See, just like that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid back on this. That's dangerous hanging around like that. Clean this off. And I think I'm going to put those away. I have these two. There should be one more. There it is. Always important to put your acetates away because you never know when you'll fuck them again. All right, what are you guys thinking so far? Not too shabby, hey? All right, so now I'm pretty happy with how that's looking, but I do want to add, we do need to add some foliage, okay? So I've got a couple of options. These are the things that I was thinking about. So I've got this really cute fairy pod here. So and again, I've got the little one that I think could be really interesting if we had it hanging back there off of the tree. But I'd almost have to have it kind of right there. So I'm just thinking of the small one, but I kind of like it because I have some other charms to hang on. But I think if I were to have it hanging from like a branch here, like that looks pretty cute, doesn't it? Yeah, I like it. Okay, so we're gonna do that. So I need a stamp. Okay. And now for this, I actually want to, because I want it to be off of the second tree. So that means I need it to be further back, right? So I don't want to stamp it in black. I think I'm going to use the gray that I was practicing with. And I'm going to add my mask. So I think I want to do it hanging from, this is a pretty big branch there, right there. So I want it to hang from kind of where this crook is. So I want to put my mask, my acetate, I'm going to put it right there in case I end up over inking the length of this, right? So let's just make sure that I've got in, oh yeah, because I want it to hang right there. Okay, so I'm gonna stamp this in Morning Mist. Again, VersaFine Clair. Making sure that I've got a lot of ink, not a lot of ink, I've got a good amount of ink on there because that's going to make a difference, right? And so I'll make sure that I've got this. So I said I wanted to hang it from that crook in the tree right there. And so we're going to go right like that. And I'm going to leave the acetate in there because I can wipe that off, right? So I'm basically using my acetate from this thing as a mask. So that's kind of handy. Okay, just giving it a bit of a wiggle, creating a little bit of friction to transfer the ink. Oh yeah, kind of cute, kind of cute. So we can darken that up a little bit if we need to, but I'm going to wait and see if I need to. And then I'm also going to make sure that I give my acetate a little bit of a wipe off because it did get a little bit of ink on it. So done with that guy. Okay, putting that to the side. Now, I also have some, let's see here. So these guys I'm going to put here. This is another charm, another charm. Okay, so I'm going to bring out these maple leaves. So I've got maple leaves. This is the small, and then the maple leaves, the mini. These are from Lavinia. Okay, so that's what those are going to be. I believe this thing is the fairy pods. Don't for sure quote me on that, okay? So now what I want to do is I'm going to take a few of these colors and bunch of different colors. So this first one that I'm going to ink up in is Chianti. And all I'm going to do is take them and I'm going to stamp them down, and I'm going to use first generation and then turn the stamp and do second generation, just like that. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to ink it up again, and I'm going to go first generation and second. And ink them up again. First and second. Whoop, got a little bit of ink on there. Don't want to get ink on my fingers because then I'll put them on my project, I'm sure. Let's see, where could we use another one? Okay, so let's go a nice deep color here, first generation, and let's go second, like that. And let's put another one over here. I have a bunch more colors to do on here, so it doesn't need to be fully fleshed out, but let's do a first generation, and let's do a second, like so. Okay, so let's put this one to the, no, we're not going to put that to the side, but we're going to pull a different color. Okay, whoopsie. So over, and let's do glamorous, but we're going to do, this one is called Summertime. The summertime. And it's a pretty bright orange, but that's okay. It's gonna dull down a little bit on our project here. This one's pretty faint, so we might have to do a lot of first generations, looks like. I'm actually just going to turn this over so that I can just do this. We're going to do one, and we're going to do two. And this is going to look like a hot mess until you start to pull it together, and that's okay. That's what it's supposed to do. It's not going to be perfect. That's all right. We don't need it to be perfect. It's handmade, much the same as Hallmark. It's you know, it's not, when you're making handmade cards, it's not Hallmark, it's handmade. Here. And maybe one more. There. All right, give this a wipe, and let's pull out some red. And we've got some tulip red here. I don't know if we'll be able to get a second generation out of that. Yeah, not the worst. Yeah. And again, don't forget, just kind of turn it around. So this is why you don't need, now don't follow my example in terms of you don't need a million stamps. I have all of them, but you don't need them, because these two little stamps are going to fill out my trees here, right? I don't need to have every single stamp that there is in order to make this happen and to finish creating my artwork, right? I don't need it. This doesn't mean that I don't. That's the point. Okay, I'm going to switch to the mini maple leaves, which is a little smaller, but I'm going to go in using the same colors, but now it's giving me an entirely different impression. Not entirely different, but a few different impressions here, right? So, which is what you want. You're changing up, again, by changing up the stamp, changing your direction, you're adding different textures, which is what you need. Okay, so I'm happy with that red. Now I'm going to go back to the orange. Enough red. I have another color here. I might throw in a few green ones as well, just to kind of balance it out, because they are still green sometimes, even as the leaves are falling. Although I am liking how we have all of these darker colors, and then we're starting to add in some brighter colors, which is just lovely, right? Now I'm just going to bring in the others and kind of fill out this kind of, it's really actually handy to have the camera here, because I can kind of look and have the like a bigger view from further away, which is nice. Add in a few of the lighter oranges back here. Right there. Okay. And I'm done with the orange. So let's bring in the Chianti again. I like to say Chianti. It's kind of fun. Okay. Inking up, and we're going to go in right there. And up again, and we've got a nice dark spot right there. Up again, kind of got a blank spot there. And let's add in one right there. And let's bring in a purple there. And one right there. What do we think? Might need one right there. Okay. Now, yeah. Let's do. You guys think I need the green? I don't know. It's pretty green in here, so I think I'm actually just going to leave it. This is the tough thing for me is I can just onto this, which is not always great. It's not always the best. No. But while I've got this here, what I now want to do is kind of just I have these cute little charms, and these ones I do want to ink up in. Now let's go here. Versatile. Let's do this. Is going to be in the Nocturne. Nope. You know what? I lied. It's going to be in the Twilight. I don't want it quite as dark as my blacks. Oops. I'm trying not to use the Nocturne for anything other than her because she's my main focus, right? So she's the one that I want to have standing out the most. So this the Twilight is the navy color, right? And I've got this really cute little end of this branch here that I can stamp this on. That one, good. Okay, and then that to the side here, and I have another one that I'm going to do from the other side here. Oops, that's crooked. Make sure you put it on straight because otherwise you won't stamp it straight. All right. Fudge, still not straight. There we go. Some ink on that. And now if I were to do that, hangs down into her head. Okay, so what I'm going to do then, I need this to be a little shorter, so I'm just going to wipe off some of the ink off the top of the charm. And I believe these are called the fairy charms. Now, do I want to go there? Or do I want to go there? Oh yeah, much better. I want to keep her head clear. So let's go. If I go there, I need it to be slightly longer. Ah, false alarm, false alarm. I'm going to put in a little bit more ink. I'm going to take just a skidge off here. Like as much as I have off there. All right. So I'm kind of going to put this in right. Yeah, like just like that. Just like that. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, giving that a wipe and pull that off. Now I have two other little stamps that I want to use here. Yeah, one is the field grass. Where did my field grass go? There it is right there. Now for these guys, what I want to do, so I have field grass and then I have these little, I think these are called the foxgloves. So you can see it's two little guys here and then this really lovely field grass. So it's really light. So they're not going to add a ton of depth, but what I do want to do is kind of have a couple of seed pods almost like things growing up, right? So that's what I want to do with these guys. So to do that, I'm not going to use a block, but I am going to come in and I'm going to bring in, this is called Glamorous and it's a bright pink, which is kind of fun. And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to put my finger on the back of my stamp like this, just at the top, and kind of touch this down. And then I'm going to bring it in and I'm going to go like that and just touch down in a couple of different places. Just so that there's something, because if you're in a meadow, this is what you would have, right? You have little things popping up, little crocuses and all of those kind of things growing up out of the ground in differing areas. And so I'm just going to kind of poke them into a few different places here. I don't want anything that's full or, like the full stamping of it here. I don't need that. Doesn't need to be on any of the hills or anything like that. Although it does help, like it does help to ground it if you want to put it in that area. So so I've brought in just a touch of this bright pink. And so now that I've got that, I want to bring in, oh yeah, the Purple Delight. Purple Delight. Okay, so that's this color here, Purple Delight. And for that, I'm going to take the foxgloves and I'm just going to, am I? Yeah, I am. Okay. So I'm just going to take them and I'm just going to give like a little, you can see I've just kind of got it folded around my hand here. And I'm just going to go in, give it a little bit of a pop. And just the edge of it. So it kind of gives it a little bit of depth, a little bit of dimension. That's the big thing, right? There's a YouTuber named oh Laura. That's gonna dry. That's gonna wake me up tonight, you guys. Oh, I can't remember her name, but she makes me laugh every time. She does a lot of YouTube videos for Simon Says Down, and she loves almost everything she creates is with rainbows, and it's really, really she creates really beautiful cards and things like that, and it's really lovely. But what she always talks about how she likes to pop things up, and she pops things up because and then she'll sing this little song because dimension is life, and it makes me laugh every time. Okay. So we've got another one there. And I want to get one kind of coming out from the area of her staff. There we go. Okay. There we go. And we're going to wipe that off a little bit. Okay. So we're starting to fill in the background here, which is what we need, right? It needs to have some oomph to it. You can't just, it's not just grass. Okay. So here's what we've got so far. And I'm really happy with it. We need to do a few things here though. So you can see here that like we need a little bit more grounding under her because she's going to be throwing. So you want to think if the moon or the sun is right here, it's going to be throwing light this way, right? So this way. So the shadows would be coming this way. So now what I want to do is I want to start highlighting and adding definition. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to use this is called a zebra doodler. I got this just from the dollar store because I just ran out of my gold um, jelly roller. And what I want to do is in the areas where the moon would be hitting these trees, is I'm going to go in and I'm going to add just a bit of gold. And I'm just going to follow some of these lines because this would be where it would be brighter, right? So, and I like to add it on and then I kind of give it a little bit of a wipe, not a lot, but it just softens it so that it's not quite so bright. Also, because this is like a jelly roll, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but on jelly rolls, they tend to be quite, like they stay wet for quite some time. So I want to make sure that I'm adding that this is not going to continue to move, right, as it goes along. So it's, of course, some of these would also have some light to them, right? So we're going to add some of the gold into the branches, almost making them look like lit branches, like that. And these don't have to be perfect. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add a few strips of gold here, just like that. But I also want to line that. I'm going to highlight a few of these areas. And some would be on this side or the moon, whichever one you're going to decide it is. And it would be on this side here as a heart, like that. And then it would be there, like that. Now, also, let's add in, because I forgot, these, where it would also be showing. Because you want to think, like, if somebody's in shadow, right? Like, so if somebody's standing in front of a light or in front of the sun, right? They're pretty black, and then behind them, like the light kind of comes on an angle, right? Like behind them, like there's they're outlined in light is basically what you'd see, right? So that's what we're doing is we're adding that in. And I also want to make sure this is done. Even though it's in the background and not really well seen, it would still have some bold highlights. And actually, I'm going to draw those in with them. Now, for her hair, I actually want to make her hair gold. So I'm going to follow some of her hair, not all of it, because I also have the brown that I'm going to use. You can see how bright that is. I don't know. Can you see how bright that is? Yeah. So there's how bright it is. And then if I put my finger on it, it just dulls it down just a little bit so that it's not like, woo, in your face gold, right? Not that there's anything wrong with in your face gold. I mean, you all know I do adore, excuse me, a bit of. I was laughing at myself when I was getting ready to do this because I was like, oh, I wonder, am I going to put any glitter? Nope, not putting any glitter. Can you believe it? Amazing. I am going to have some shine in it. Really, like, look, right? So, and this is pretty close. So her lantern is going to be going off as well. So this is going to be much closer to the light source. So I want to make sure that her staff on the side that is to the light source is also illuminated, right? That and then nose, that. So we're gonna have some yellow gold on her arm, that and on her knee, that. Mom's hand here. Oh, I think Mommy's home. Okay, so now on her backside, she's not going to have that because it's that's going to be in the shadow. It's behind her, right? So we're not going to have the gold back there. So I'm going to lift that up and kind of have a looky. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. What do you guys think so far? Yeah, I think it's really coming together. Pretty happy with it so far. So let's fingers crossed that we don't bugger it up because that's what happens. All right, so I'm gonna use my brown and use a white. Not that one. I'm gonna need my iridescent jelly roller and brown. And I want to do this is the blue one. Yeah, I'm gonna need that. Yep. Okay. Sorry, guys. I just want to test this out and see. Yeah. So what I want to do here is I'm going to use this blue. Um, this is a jelly roll pen. I'm not sure what color it is. Anyway, it's the blue of the stardust, so kind of like a navy, and I'm going to use it to outline and dab the fairy pod here. And it's got all of these really cool lines and details in it. So I want to make sure that I'm pulling out that detail, even though it's in the background and it's kind of hidden and hidden, but it's faint, right? Doesn't mean that it's still not there and it still wouldn't be highlighted because this is one of our features. Not as much as sarin, obviously, but it is still one of the features, which is very important. So I'm going to do that and get some blue. There we go. Okay, now I'm happy with that. That looks great. So I can put that away. Now I want to use some brown and get that going in her hair. Do the rest of her hair so she doesn't look half like bald because I've got some gold in there, but nothing else. So just draw in some brown. As you can see the areas here where you can see through her hair, right? So you can see the green. And that doesn't work well on her head. It's fine where it's blowing in the wind here, that's fine. But like as strands kind of thing. But on her actual head, I think we want it to not look like you can see through her head because that's weird. All right, so better. Let's see, there we go. All right, done with the brown. Now let's bring in the white to make sure my white is flowing. Is white flowing? White is flowing. Sometimes you have to get it going. Basically, you want to make sure if you've got a white jelly roll that you're using it at least once a week. That will keep it going for you. So I'm going to add again some more highlights in a few of the areas that the white there, sorry, that the light would be touching. So on, look on her hand here, kind of follow that. I'm going to follow her arm like that. And then I'm going to take my finger and kind of blot it. Okay. And then she's outlined here on her bust. So we're going to take that and then I'm going to blot it. And we've got this and her leg. And so you can see there's areas on the stamp that it's left blank. So you can see where she's folded here because you can see the little bit of the green. Maybe you can't see that. I don't know. Can you see where you can see where she's bent there? That's where those lines are going to go. So I want to delineate where her legs are because it looks weird to have the green behind it. So I want to make sure that I'm doing that, but I'm also going to add in a few other details here so that it doesn't just look like, oh, you've got this white here. Wow. Okay. Draw that in. And then, so we've got her wings. So we're going to go into the butt. And we've got this line in between her wings. So I want that to be all lit again, because those would be areas where the sun or the moon would be coming through. And so we've got her face, and then catch the bust here a bit on the arm. Okay, so I hit that. Okay. So you can just see how that starts to bring to life and give her some depth and dimension. Okay. Again, I want to come in here. I'm going to add a little bit of white. And when you're adding the white to your jelly roll, you want to make sure that it's, you're not planning on putting any water or anything over top of it because it can leak. I don't always have it happen, but it is one of the things that I like to warn people about because, you've done a lot of work here now. You want to make sure that it's still going to look good, right? Okay. So one of the things that I forgot here is that I do want to make sure that this is gold. I have something else that I'm going to do as well, but I want to make sure that the flame is gold. And then I also wanted to make sure that the window here was gold. Mm. I'm just gonna dab that one there. So quite a bit of I should actually wash my hands. Okay. All right. Now, next thing that I want to do is I'm going to take this is my iridescent jelly roll. Okay, and I'm going to outline the moon. So now the moon is obviously behind the tree, so I'm not going to be able to do it there. But I'm going to catch the outline of the moon in all of the areas where I can still see it, right? So behind the tree branches, behind the leaves, where I can still follow where I had the mask. Okay? So I can see it here, like that, and then come here. Staff like that. And then I think I need to go right here. And then a few places. Okay, so now I've kind of highlighted. You can sort of, oh, I don't know, can you see that? Yeah, here. I've outlined the moon a little bit, given it just a little bit of shimmer. Add it a little bit more here because I've got a pretty clear line here of where it is. I want to make sure that it's seen. But again, I'm trying to keep it behind. So this shimmer is behind all the plants, right? So if there's a leaf in the way, I'm going behind the leaf, like, right? So it's a broken edge of the moon here. Oh, I think I missed that edge. There we go. Thickening the line here because I think I missed it a bit. And then coming in here. Yeah, there we go. Much better. There we go. Now you can see the moon, right? There we go. Okay, now the last place that I want to add this is on her wings. So I want her wings to be fully iridescent. Now I would normally use my Wink of Stella, but because I stamped her over watercolors, if I were to add Wink of Stella to her wings here, then it would draw the color out of her wings. And I want her wings to continue to appear to be iridescent. So I don't want any color being drawn down onto the white area here. See? Because she's slightly outside of the circle, right? Yes, I'm going all the way up like that. I'm also going to follow kind of like the little antenna because I always feel like that's part of her wings. So the antenna here, like that. All of the white for sure. There we go. So you can still see, once this dries, you'll still see the detail behind her wings, right? So there we go. Okay. All right, so that's that one. Now, I don't think that I'm going to be able to edge this because, well, maybe I could. Okay, so far, here's what I've got, guys. It's looking pretty good, right? It's not bad. So what I want to do is, again, I've got a pan pastel here. I've never used it. So today I'm going to break this out. So what this is this is like a white chalk, basically, or no, white pastel. So, you know, like an oil-based pastel. So what I want to do is I'm going to take just a bit of it on my finger. So you usually need to use it like a smudging brush or something like that. But what I want to do is I want to take a bit on my finger and just kind of lighten like the area here where the um like where the lantern is, right? Because it's going to have a little bit of light coming from it. So I want to lighten that area around it because it's going to glow out from it, right? So can you see that how that's lightened a little bit? So that, and then I want to be able to take just a little bit like in this area here, just kind of lighten it a little, not a ton, just enough that, you know, there's a little bit of, there would be a little bit of light coming down from the little fairy pod here. And have a little bit more light from this down. And this is very shiny. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. It's kind of different. Get a clean finger and just kind of keep buffing that in. Okay. So it's not a ton, but it's enough to keep it. I also could do, actually, that's a good idea. Let's go around the moon. I should have done this before stamp it. I didn't know that. See if we can do this here. Let's see. Stamp. Apparently, I should have highlighted this before I did the moon and the stamping because it's kind of sticking to my stamps. But that's okay. I don't mind. Fran won't either. But I wonder, let's just play a little bit. So I have a mostly dry baby wipe here, and I'm just gonna see if I can take it off of. So I've kind of got my finger here, and I'm just gonna kind of off my stamp there a little bit. Put up just a bit, just a bit, just a bit. Oh yeah, that's good. Lifting a bit of the ink, so that's okay. Off of her, and want it off of that. So maybe what I need to do is just draw in the hearts again. That's what I'm gonna do. So bring in the navy again. Bring in the navy, bring in the navy. Where did it go? There it is right there. All right. So I'm gonna draw this in because I should have done this first. Apparently. Okay, that's better. Yeah, it gives it that kind of cool highlighting thing. Brings it into harmony with the fairy pod, which I like. And let's do, and there we go. Like it never happened. Perfect. So that's obviously one that I'm going to have to play with because I think that that could be very, very cool. Now, I don't think I want to do any splatter because I don't really think that it's not really a big Fran thing or Alan's aunt thing. Sorry, I really shouldn't be naming them. But what I do think that I want to do is I have two verses here, and one is believe in the magic as fairies do. They will appear to watch over you. They dance in the flowers and sing songs of love. It's really nice and soft. I really like it. But this one is also really nice, and it's like selfless courage unites spirit motivation. I think she might like this one better, but I do like how this one kind of fits around a bit better. But that's okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this on, and it's mostly going to be for a bit of texture, and I'm going to add it in the gray because I really like how that looked. But in order to do that, what I want to do is I'm going to mask off on these areas here where I've got, because I don't want the printing to go over my stamped here, my stamped area. Okay. And I'm going to use the Morning Mist again. So this is this lighter gray color. And this one I'm going to do multiple generations because I want it to be darker and then lighter. Because I don't need it to be like, woo. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Okay. That's one. And I'm going to come in here. Oh, is that going to show? Yes, it is. And two. And come in here. And three. Like that. Okay, so it's just kind of going to frame the edge of it, and that is exactly what I want. Now I'm going to come over here, and this is, so because I had the first generation on this side, I'm going to do the first generation on this side and then go up. So it'll get lighter as I go up the cardstock. Okay, so making sure that it's the correct way around, and I don't even care if it's going to get on the branch here. So, and I want to keep in mind too that my, it's going to sit right around here in the frame, right? So how far over did I come in? So I want to do here. Yeah. And come up and do, and then come up here, and we're going to do there. Oh yes, very nice, very nice, very nice. I'm quite happy with that. So that works for me. I wonder how far in I can come in. Because usually I would ground this using like bringing your focus in, but I think that the edge of the um, mat will do that already. So I'm not sure that I need to worry about that. So the last things that I want to do then is I'm going to bring in my pan pastels. Oops. So these are Inktense pencils. So these are like coloring pencils, but you can kind of smudge them. And I just said that was the final step. It's not the final step. That's all. There's one more step after this, but that's okay. So I'm taking a yellow here. This is the sun yellow, and I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to color like this so that it's lightening that compared to what it was. And then I'm also going to bring in like a, I was going to say a bracket, but more like a halo, right? So that you can not it's not super visible, but what it does is that it lightens some of that, right? That's what I want. I want to be able to see that and have it be lightened. Same thing here. I want to add in a little bit of yellow in here so that this area which would be a very small light source, has some light coming out of it. Okay. Do that. Then I'm going to take dark, this is an outliner. What this is? This is bark. Okay. So now under her, so here we still have a little bit of area where it's not quite, the tree is not quite rounded. So also, so I've got just the edge of her staff. I'm going to bring that out and just going to have a little bit of a shadow. And you see how, because of course, if her light source and the moon is right there, it would be throwing a longer shadow like this as it gets thinner, right? Let's see if you can see that. Can you see that? Look at how it looks like it's throwing the shadow. This is how we start to make it look like these things are real, even though. Now, I'm not going to pull this out of the frame. Excuse me. I'm not going to pull this out of the frame, but I do want to make it look like, so her knee, okay, so if the light was coming this way, her knee, anything from here, she would have a shadow from behind the thing, but her knee would be throwing a shadow, her feet were down, so it'd be darker there, and then she would also have this like that. And I'm just going to draw that and kind of smudge it a little bit. Look at, right? Just trying to get a shadow. Same thing right here from her knee. Okay. Now, same thing with the tree. So the tree, and I'm also, for this tree, I'm going to go all the way over and just kind of do like this. All the way. I might regret that, but that's okay. Make it work. But I don't like this tree just kind of floating out here into nothing. Let's see, how's that? Oh no, actually that's quite good. Okay, good. I can add another color to that. Then I also want to make sure that I'm pulling this tree here, right? Because it would also be giving a shadow. Now it's not going to be like really long and dark here because the moon would be coming this way, but the moon is behind it, right? So it would still be throwing a shadow this way. So this is how we show that. Just like that. And we would also have a bit of a shadow from this thing. So it would throw a bit of a shadow like that. In that area. Like that. So you can't necessarily see it, but when you look at it, you see it, right? That's what we're looking for. So this will be a little bit stronger. So then I'm just using my finger to kind of buff that out. Buff it too much. I don't want that to look like a dirt smudge. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not going to be, like I said, I'm not going to be able to fudge it in there, I don't think. Unless I can perfect that bottom corner there. I'm using the stencil and a brush. See if I can do that or not. Just because, you know, I'm anal retentive that way. Some days, not always, some days. Okay, so yeah, these are my outfits. I want to be darker green, so I'm gonna pull out the shady linen. Do this, and we're gonna do I need this one. Nope, this is the one that I want. I want it to be more solid. I need to look. Basically, what I'm trying to do is just kind of make it not so noticeable that there's an edge there, right? Because you can see where the ink, because I was using a watercolor or a water-based, it kind of splooged. It's not the technical term, but that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color to kind of even that out so that when you're looking at it through the glass and stuff like that, it's not going to be very noticeable. Yeah, that's actually a little bit better. Okay, with that. And okay, putting that away, putting the cover on. And glory of glories, everybody, we are at, I believe, the last step. Okay, so this is a quickie glue pen. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going to take this. Is it running? Yeah, there's the glue. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to outline and I'm going to color in this area. So I don't know why I had to. Well, I had to because it's me. That's just sometimes how it goes. And I'm going to add the window here like that. And then I'm also going to add in a few dots. I want her to look quite magical. So I think I saw somebody who called this ambiance. Ooh, ambiance. And pull them here. But she kind of looks like to me in this, she looks like the guardian of like this little fairy pod house. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I like that to set up just a little bit, and I am going to take. So these are mica minerals or mica powders. Some are Ranger, and the ones that I'm going to use though are the ones from Lavinia. I'm going to use this really cool bronzy one and this gold one, and I'm sure you can figure out. So the gold one, I'm going to go in where the two light sources are. So this is very, very fine mica, but it's got like this is where I'm going to get my bit of glitter because I'm not, for me, I'm not adding a ton of glitter on here, guys. I'm pretty proud of myself, but I do want these light sources to be highlighted. So I'm just going to take a little bit out of the jar. Don't need a lot. I'm just using it on this is an eyeshadow brush. And where I put the quickie glue pen, I'm just going to put some on there and just kind of let it, I kind of like to tap it into the glue, into the adhesive that's there and just let it go. And then you can pick it up and give it a little tap. I'm using very little. Okay, and now I'm going to pull out the bronze. Let's see how much is in the lid. There's not a lot in the lid. So I'm just going to go like this. And I'm going to kind of just sweep it around because there are a few places, right, that I hit where the quickie glue pen, I can't always see them all, right? So I'm just going to pull them off like this and just kind of hold it and draw it and kind of swirl it around my project. And this way then it will catch any of the areas where that two-way glue is. Okay. All right, put the lid back on before I sneeze or something. Okay, I'm gonna put these back in the container. Brushing, brushing. So I'm not sure if I told you, but the other ones are Ranger Perfect Pearls, which you guys probably, a lot of people have these from their stash. And if you've been paper crafting for a while, you probably have them in your stash. Okay, here we go. So you can see where some of the glitter has stuck because it is well, they're pigment inks. And so there's some of them are still wet. So it's still adhering to that. So I'm just going to pull out my sweeper brush and just give it a bit of a more of a sweep to my paper. But again, you saw I used next to nothing. But this is kind of the final stage here. Pretty happy with that. I think. So I'm gonna come in and I want to erase now where my pencil marks were because they are still there a little bit. And this one you can still sort of see. And this one you can still sort of see. Good. And this one you can still sort of see. All right, so let's put that away. All right, now let's get these things all out of the way. Clean these up. And let's bring in, do I have some? I do. Okay, what do you guys think? It's looking pretty good, right? Like, I don't know. Would you be happy to get that as a gift? I hope so. So I hope so. Okay, so I've got some Scotch tape here, which is what I tend to use when I'm putting things into matting. Let's make sure we have it the right way up. And I kind of want to center it. It doesn't have to be perfect. What do you think of that? Because I could go here. Yeah, nope, let's move this over. Those are in there. Okay, so, oh, yeah. Okay, so now I want to hold that. I'm kind of holding it from the back because I like it there. Yeah, let's move it down a bit. What do you think? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, now I'm going to glue it, not glue it, I'm going to tape it into place. Just so that when I put it into the frame, it's going to hold itself. Because of course it's not the full size, right? Because this is a 12 by 12 frame. With what's really lovely is this matting is just so nice. I think I really enjoyed this. I think I'm going to make one for myself. I've got some space in my where my office is down here, where my desk sits behind me, and it's too long. And I was thinking it was good to make something, and this would be really love it. Okay, I don't let's touch the corners. Stick it up. I hope it didn't shift too much because this is a lot of tape to have to pull up if it did. Oh yeah, look at. Oh my goodness, I am so happy with that. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let you go. This was obviously a very long video. I was hoping it wouldn't take quite this long, but that's a that's a project, and sometimes that's what it takes, right? So anyway, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave your comments below if you have any questions. Hopefully you liked it, and remember to keep it kind. I do know it is long today, but yeah, thanks so much for joining me, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.